Good day everybody, welcome to another episode of the SMLJ review. So today's episode we'll be sharing with you an underdog brand among the headphone manufacturers out there. So this brand is not very known to people for making audio products, headphones or speakers or whatnot, but they do make a couple here and there, and among the community of audiophiles is pretty recognizable as well. You talk about headphones, what are the common brands that actually came to your mind? Typically you'll be hearing of Bose, Sony, Audio-Technica, perhaps Beats for example. These are the common ones that a lot of consumers will actually go for, right? But we talk a little bit deeper into like say what kind of headphone brands that audiophile will actually consume on. Then it goes into things like your Beyerdynamic, your AKG, your Sennheiser, Grados. Heard of things like such as Mass Drop or Drop kind of collaboration brand. They also pops up here and there. So those kind of things are what mainly the audiophiles are looking for. Today's episode we'll be talking about two headphones in which is a general consumer brand, but they don't specialize in making audio equipments, at least not on the normal consumer market. So this brand is Philips. Now, Philips makes light bulb, electronics and whatnot. They don't market it heavily on that. They don't have a sick variety, wide range of headphones, but they do make really good ones, especially on the Fidelio lineups. Philips Fidelio L2 and the X2HR are the ones that is gonna be on the list today. The X3 is just launched quite recently, so it's just been in the market, so the price is relatively high. But these two models of Philips Fidelios is a very affordable range. Something you can definitely look into. So now, what I have with me today is the L2 and the X2HR, which is I'm wearing on right now. So let's talk about the L2 first. The Philips Fidelio L2 actually costs around lesser than $100 USD. I got it for like 80-ish, 70-ish. So when you convert that to Sing dollars, about 100. That's inclusive of shipping. Very affordable. Okay. How does it actually fare against other $100 cans? I say this basically beats it hands down in most of the category, except for noise isolation and sound leakage, because this is actually considered as open can, but I'll explain a little bit more later. The Philips Fidelio L1 and L2 is known to be in the market for being affordable, being a very well built can, nicely designed, and is targeted towards audiophiles in general. Has been around for like 4 or 5 years, I think. The physical construction for the headphones is extremely sturdy. The whole thing is actually made of metal, aluminum, if I'm not wrong. You don't really see any plastic parts around, which is very rare among the headphones brand. So when we talk about some of the headphones brands out there, this is Beyerdynamic for example. Beyerdynamic Custom 1 Pro, which is plastic. A huge chunk of it is plastic, some metals here and there, but the L2, full metal, literally full metal. The only plastic part where it's visible is only at the holder for the headband. Having a very cheaply made plasticky headphones, right, it will die within like 1 year, 2 years at most. So I have like a couple of those that actually did fall apart within 1 year. In fact, they are pretty pricey, much more expensive than this L2. Apart from the metal build, right, what you actually get out of here is also the value for the material they use, leather. So this is actually genuine leather. That's what they claim. The headband is made of genuine leather. The ear pads is also made of genuine leather, and the quality of leather they get here is actually extremely soft. It feels really good. So much that I don't intend to change out the L2's ear pad. It really feels extremely premium, and yeah, it's very comfortable as well. Although this kind of leather ear pads tends to get a little bit hot after a few hours of usage. Yeah, so just take note of it. If you like something more airy feel, don't use leather pads. Just change the velour or the other alternatives one out there. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually the sound quality of this thing. That's the whole point, right? Buying a headphone because you want something to sound good. I'll describe this as an underground jazz bar. It's a very enclosed environment. Let's say the maximum packs you can actually fit into a jazz bar, let's say it's around 20 packs. And it's a very close, very dark, very exciting, very echoistic kind of environment there. The bass is extremely heavy on this one. These two cans, in fact, are very bassy cans. If you love bass, I think you will not fail with this. Imagine this: you're sitting next to the band is playing live there, and the acoustic and the sound of it actually reverts very, very close to you. The mids and the highs are fine, but they're definitely not something that is on a super high tier clarity as well as detail it's going to produce out of this can. No. Now, in fact, if anything else, there's a unique selling point for this particular L2, because although I said it's an open can, meaning it's an open back grill mesh sounds to it. By right, the sound signature for this thing has to be more wider, but no, they don't feel like an open can. They don't sound like an open can. They sounded a lot more like a closed can. Good and bad actually. So the good thing is that they don't leak so much. The bad thing is that what's the point? I'm not buying a closed can. I wanted the open can, but you got this. So yeah, and it's not exactly you can use it outside as well, because the sound leakage as well as you kind of get you can hear audio from externally. Yeah. So this, remember, like I said, this is actually an enclosed environment, underground jazz bar, very close and very intimate kind of band playing right in front of you. So is this actually worth getting? To be honest, I think if you spot this for less than $100 on Amazon, I think it's a no-brainer. Just get this. It's really damn good, and it looks good. That's the main thing, right? It looks really good. So if you imagine you're streaming and you're doing some game content, right? This thing on your head, man, it looks really nice rather than something so dodgy. Yeah, even the Bayer dynamic is a little, huge. For ladies, I think it's a little bit too big. But if you're into that kind of look, by all means. But this is sleek. It feels a little bit like a Porsche kind of construction versus this feels like a Jeep, Okay, so we're done with L2. We'll just leave it here. Sit there, little bitch. Okay. So now we have this is the X2HR. Rather very different build. They are not exactly an upgrade from one to another. This is actually slightly more expensive, but it's not an upgrade. It's totally entirely different sound signature altogether. The X2HR runs on a 50mm Neo dynamic drivers. The build and the construction for this, the X2HR is extremely well as well. The Fidelio lineup, in fact, they are like really well made for bang for bucks. So seriously, what you get there. Leather head strap, metal built on the cup holding ring, the pivot ring, but it's plasticky on the cup. But the plastic quality is extremely firm, extremely good. You don't feel like the kind of cheap China plastic from this. Definitely. The grill, of course, is made of metal. It feels like that microphone. In fact, yeah, it feels a bit like the microphone grill on this. And the comfort strap is elastic, so it feels quite well made as well. The ear pads are made of this velour felt thingy, which I don't know exactly what is it. This is actually a downside for this particular the X2HR. I hate these ear pads. It's not very comfortable. After a while, you feel like it's a bit warm. It's a bit uncomfortable on this thing, and it's not something on like a stock pad you can easily change it. You can't. You have to rip this apart, take out the plate, and then change off to something else. So there are ways to get around this, but just that this is not the best for this. If I just ordered the pads, so I'm waiting for it to come, then we will see how it goes. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be much more comfortable after I change the pad. That's the only complaint I have for the build quality on this thing. Now the next thing we'll talk about, of course, is the sound quality on this thing. It's very different. Like I said again, it's very different from the L2. Although both are very heavy bass, but the presentation of bass is very different there. So this, what does it feel like? It's no longer an underground jazz bar. It feels like an open air live band playing in front of you. But there's a bit of a weird situation here, right? If you imagine this way, you're sitting right next to the band, but you're next to the drummer, and the vocalist is pretty far off. It's an open air situation. What do I mean by that? Now, this has a very sharp V-shaped sound signature, meaning the highs can be pretty high. The mid is taking a bit, it's going under mediocre level, and the bass is extremely well. If you are a bass head and you just want bass, I think this is gonna rock you pretty hard. Extremely good for BGM soundtracks and things that without vocal. I think this performed pretty well. But the mid itself, when it comes to those kind of general music, it will take a beating in that particular area. But that being said, right, it's not something that you don't enjoy at all. In fact, it's somewhat, I feel, is like light-hearted when you listen to this. The bass gives you a very good enjoyment in terms of tempo and in terms of the spiciness of a music. It gets more flavor that way, right? Whereas the clarity and the detail of it, it's a little bit sharp on that end. And because of the mids is missing, so it feels like, to be honest, what I feel like, it's just a little bit balanced there. So it's a good cup of tea here. Now when I'm listening to both of them, I keep switching around every time I listen to music for a few hours. For some certain reason, initially I prefer the L1 over the X2HR, hands down. But after a while, grow into it. So I grow into the X2HR, I kind of like the sound signature from this. And it's very lighthearted, like I said. It's very casual, very easily digested. I don't feel fatigue after listening to the sound. It feels like very natural. In fact, if you're playing games with this, right, this is excellent. Why do I say so? Because it actually picks up your bullet shots and your footsteps, those kind of echoey sound very nicely. So it mutes up a little bit on the vocals. So people talk shit, talk crap, and you can totally isolate off from this thing. But that's fine. However, do understand this is extremely an open can. So this is a true definition for open can, meaning you hear sound is a little bit more, a lot more on the soundstage, but at the same time itself, right, you can hear from outside very clearly, and the sound leakage on this thing is just it's a typical open back kind of earphones. It's loud, so sound leakage is very loud. Definitely not advisable to be used on outdoors and in office environment, but for home use, I think this is excellent. Look at the build, I mean, it's really nice as well. So these two designs just crazy nice. Philip Fidelios, whoever designed these cans are, man, great stuff. But X3 is a little bit odd though, so some comments there. Yeah, X3 is just totally different look, and I don't like the X3 look of it. So I got this for like 140 USD. Pretty decent for the price, because initially when this thing was, the X2HR was launched, it was around 300 bucks. So at that range, this is a little bit off. It's a little bit steep and I wouldn't recommend it. But for hundreds range and below 150 range, if you can get this for 120, I think this is a total grab. It's an excellent choice for around 120 range, 150 range. A little bit pushing it, but yeah, it's still a very excellent grab. And why I recommend this, I think I will. But over the X2, the L2, no, I think among these two choices, if you are gonna choose between one only, I will recommend going for the L2, because it's really damn good. You're getting a damn good deal of this thing compared to any other available choice of headphones out there. But so far, I love the sound quality of this. Sound pretty good right off now. Then we compare this to the Sennheiser Mesh Drop 58X. So that will be a good comparison between these pairs, because they are about the same price range. About the same, but I'm actually expecting quite a good performance out of the 58X. It's probably gonna arrive like next week or so. So we'll do another review video on that. So with that said, SMLJ review signing off.